Dear friend, you're sitting there, maybe with your tea cooling beside you, or perhaps the grandkids just left and the house feels quiet again. Maybe you're watching this because something stirred in your heart, the kind of whisper we start hearing when we've lived long enough to know time doesn't stretch out forever. I want to speak to you today about something I've carried with me for many years now, something I wish someone had whispered in my ear when I was your age. Don't waste your time. Not in the dramatic, ticking clock sort of way, but in the quiet, everyday ways that slip through our fingers before we even notice they're gone. Let me tell you a little story. When I was about 65, I sat down one evening after dinner and thought to myself, where did all the time go? Not in a panicked way, but more curious. I looked back at the past 10 years and realized I hadn't done half the things I'd meant to do. I'd meant to take that trip to the coast with my brother, meant to write those letters to the people I loved, meant to sit quietly more often and really listen to the wind through the trees. But life kept happening. Responsibilities, worries, small dramas. And somehow, the big, beautiful moments got pushed aside. Now, don't get me wrong. I've lived a full life. I've known joy, sorrow, laughter so deep it made my ribs ache, and silence so heavy it felt like snowfall. But if I could give you one gift, one piece of advice as you walk through these later years, it would be this. Start choosing what matters now. Because time has a way of slipping away while we wait for the perfect moment that never comes. Let me share with you the first few lessons I've learned along the way. Things that changed how I saw my days, even in my 70s and 80s. The first thing I had to let go of was the illusion of later. We spend so much of our lives waiting. Later, when the kids are grown. Later, when I retire. Later, when I have more money. Later, when I'm not so tired. But here's the truth. Later is not guaranteed. And worse, even when it does come, sometimes we've forgotten how to enjoy it. I remember my neighbour Edna. She used to talk about travelling to Italy. Her dream was to walk the streets of Florence, to see the art she'd only ever read about. But year after year, something came up. Her husband was sick. Then her daughter needed help. Then she herself wasn't feeling well. And finally, one day, she passed away without ever stepping foot on Italian soil. I used to think that was tragic. Now I understand. It was a reminder. So I started doing something radical. I started saying yes to the things I wanted to say yes to. I took the train to visit my cousin in the next state, even though it meant missing a week of TV shows I liked. I called the old friend I hadn't spoken to in 15 years, even though I didn't know if he'd pick up. I bought a notebook and wrote letters to people who mattered, even if I never sent them all. You see, you don't need permission to live a life that feels meaningful. You already have it. The clock is already ticking. The second thing I learned, and this one hit me like a ton of bricks, was that not everyone deserves your energy. Now, I'm not talking about cutting people off or being unkind. Far from it. But as we grow older, we realize something important. Our time is sacred. There were people in my life who drained me. People who criticized without kindness, who gossiped behind backs, who always seemed to bring darkness instead of light. For years, I told myself it was my duty to stay connected, that relationships were about loyalty no matter what. But as I aged, I began to see that some relationships are like slow leaks. They drain your spirit without you even noticing until you're flat on the road, wondering why you're not moving forward anymore. So I started making choices. I spent less time with people who brought me down. I said no more often. I surrounded myself with those who lifted me up, with laughter, wisdom, kindness. It was one of the most freeing decisions I ever made. You deserve peace. You deserve joy. You deserve conversations that leave you lighter than when you started. Don't waste your time trying to please people who don't truly care about your well-being. Thirdly, and this one might surprise you, don't waste your time chasing youth. I know how easy it is to look in the mirror and mourn the face that stares back, to wish for the body that once danced at weddings, ran races, carried children. I've been there, still am sometimes, but I've also learned that aging brings something far more valuable than tight skin or strong legs. It brings wisdom, perspective, peace. There's a grace in growing older that can't be rushed or bought. It's found in the stories we carry, the lessons we've lived, the love we've given and received. Instead of trying to hold on to what's gone, I started embracing what was new. I discovered gardening, took up painting, learned to cook dishes I'd never tried before, found joy in the quiet rhythm of mornings and the hush of evenings. And you know what? I've never felt more alive. As I sit here writing this, I think of all the people I've met over the years. Some filled their days with purpose. Others waited too long and missed the beauty right in front of them. Please don't be one of those people. If there's something you've always wanted to do, do it. If there's someone you've always wanted to reach out to, write them. If there's a place you've dreamed of seeing, book the ticket. If there's a conversation you've been putting off, have it. Time is precious, friend, and you've already proven your strength by living this long. But strength isn't just surviving. It's choosing how you live. And that brings us to something else I think you'll find even more helpful. Dear friend, I hope you've had time to sit with what I shared in the last letter. I know these words aren't always easy to hear, especially when we've spent so many years believing that rest comes later, that joy can wait, that love will always be there. But as we grow older, something shifts inside us. We begin to feel time not just in our calendars, but in our bones. And once we do, we realize we've been given a rare gift, the chance to choose how we spend what's left. So let me share with you a few more lessons, ones that helped me reclaim my peace, my purpose, and my joy, even in the final decades of life. The fourth thing I wish someone had told me earlier was this: let go of trying to fix everything. Oh, we try, don't we? Whether it's a family feud, a grown child's choices, or a friend who won't listen. We want to smooth things over, make them better, bring harmony where there is discord. I used to think that being a good parent, a good sibling, a good friend meant stepping in whenever there was trouble. That if I just gave the right advice, offered the perfect solution, things would fall into place. But life doesn't work like that. There came a point when I realized that some problems were never mine to solve, that people have their own paths, their own lessons to learn. And sometimes the most loving thing I could do was simply sit with them, even if I couldn't fix anything. It was hard at first. I felt helpless, like I wasn't doing enough. But over time, I saw that presence matters more than fixing, that just being there, listening, holding space, offering kindness without judgment was enough. And sometimes it was more than enough. So, I ask you, dear friend, are you carrying burdens that aren't yours to carry anymore? Let them go. You've done your part. You've loved well. You've given more than you probably realize. And now it's okay to step back, to stop trying to mend what only time and choice can heal. The fifth lesson I learned came not from books or lectures, but from silence. Stop rushing through your days. When I was younger, I thought busyness equaled importance. If I wasn't moving, working, planning, I assumed I wasn't contributing, that I wasn't being. But as I aged, I began to see the beauty in stillness. I remember one summer afternoon, sitting on the porch swing, watching the clouds drift by. My daughter asked if I needed anything, and I said no. She looked surprised. "You're just sitting here?" "Yes," I said, "and I'm happy." That moment taught me something important. Peace doesn't come from doing. It comes from being. We spend so much of our lives chasing the next thing, next project, next goal, next milestone, that we forget to simply be present for what is already here. Your breath, your heartbeat, the warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of birds outside your window, the laughter of someone you love. These are the moments that give life its sweetness. And they pass us by when we're too busy to notice, so slow down, sit longer with your coffee, let the dog nap beside you, watch the rain fall, call someone just to say hello, not because you need anything, but because you care. This is not wasting time, this is living it fully. And the sixth truth I discovered, perhaps the most powerful of all, is this: speak your heart while you still can. So often we hold back the words that matter most. We tell ourselves they already know, or it's too late, or what if I cry? But I've sat with many people near the end of life, and I can tell you this: the greatest regret I've heard isn't about money or fame or missed promotions. It's about the words left unsaid, to a parent, to a child, to a lover, to a friend. I should have told her I loved her. I never apologized for walking away. I wish I'd said thank you more. Please, don't let those be your regrets. Tell the people in your life what they mean to you. Write the letter, make the call, sit across the table and look someone in the eye and say, "I'm proud of you," or "Thank you for being here," or "I forgive you," even if it feels awkward, even if it makes you cry. Especially then, because that's where healing happens. That's where connection deepens. That's where love grows. As I write this, I'm reminded of something my mother once told me. She was in her 80s, sitting in her favorite chair, sipping tea with shaking hands. She looked at me and said, "You know, the best parts of my life weren't the big moments. They were the quiet ones. The ones I didn't even realize mattered until they were gone." And she was right. Life slips by in ordinary moments, in shared meals, old jokes, familiar songs, Sunday mornings, and long walks with someone who listens. So please, friend, don't waste your time waiting for something bigger, better, or different. Start cherishing what you already have. Start speaking the words you've been holding back. Start slowing down. Start letting go. Because you're still here and there's still time. Dear friend, we've come a long way together through these pages, these quiet conversations between us. We've talked about letting go of later, of chasing youth, of trying to fix what isn't ours to mend. We've spoken of slowing down, of speaking your heart while you still can. And now I want to share with you the final lessons, the ones that brought me peace when it mattered most. These are not grand truths carved into stone. They're simple, Soft things, like the hush before sleep, or the warmth of tea held in both hands on a cold morning. The seventh thing I wish I'd learned sooner was this: let yourself be seen. Not just your accomplishments, not just the stories you tell at family dinners, but the real you. The one who sometimes feels lonely, even surrounded by people. The one who worries they haven't done enough. The one who misses someone so deeply, it hurts to breathe. I spent most of my life hiding behind strength. I told myself I had to be the rock, the provider, the steady hand. And I was, for decades. But somewhere along the way, I forgot how to ask for help, how to show weakness, how to let others hold me, instead of always holding them. It wasn't until my late 70s, when I fell and broke my hip, that I realized something important. Being vulnerable is not weakness. It is humanity. For weeks after the fall, I needed help getting dressed. I needed someone to cook for me, to remind me to take my medicine, to sit with me when the pain kept me awake at night. At first, I hated it, felt useless, like I was burdening people. But then something shifted. My daughter started coming over every evening. She'd bring soup, we'd talk, and sometimes we'd just sit quietly together. My neighbor offered to walk the dog. Friends sent letters. And in those small acts of love, I began to understand. Letting others care for you is a gift, not just for them, but for you too. So don't hide your struggles. Don't pretend everything is fine when it isn't. Let someone see the real you. Let them know when you're hurting. Let them help carry the weight. You've spent a lifetime giving love. Now, let yourself receive it. And finally, the last truth I want to leave you with. Make peace with your past. Now, I'm not saying forget it, or pretend it didn't happen. That wouldn't be honest. What I'm saying is, stop letting it define you. There were years when I carried old wounds like badges. I told myself they made me strong, that I had to stay guarded because I'd been hurt before. But all it did was keep me from living fully. I thought forgiveness meant forgetting. It doesn't. Forgiveness means choosing not to let the past control your present. It means looking at the younger version of yourself, the one who made mistakes, who got hurt, who tried and failed, and saying, "You did your best." It means releasing the need for someone else to apologize. Sometimes they never will. But you don't need their permission to heal. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, so write that letter you never sent. Light a candle for someone you lost. Sit in silence and say out loud, "I forgive you, I forgive me," and then let it go. Friend, I don't know how many more summers you'll get, how many more birthdays, how many more mornings where the sun rises slow and golden through your window. But I do know this. You still have time to live with meaning, to love deeply, to laugh freely, to leave a legacy not of wealth or fame, but of kindness, wisdom, and presence. So please, don't waste your time. Spend it on what matters. Speak the words you've been holding back. Sit in silence. Be still, be seen, be loved, and above all, be you, fully, freely, unapologetically. I set the pen down gently. Outside birds sing. The wind rustles the leaves. Life continues soft and sweet. If this touched your heart, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing with someone who might need a little wisdom today. New letters arrive every week. Thank you for walking with me through these pages, through these years, through these quiet moments of reflection. Until next time, your elder friend,